Members gathered in Gold Star Park in Marietta to celebrate the planting of the Heritage Tree. The Heritage Tree commemorates America's 250th birthday and honors active duty and veteran military servicemen. Our Logan Riggenbaugh talked to two speakers from the ceremony about the significance of the Heritage Tree.
A heritage tree was planted in Gold Star Park to celebrate America's 250th birthday. The ceremony featured the color guard presenting the nation's colors, Sarah Chichester playing the bagpipes, and the Belpre High School Choir performing a medley.
Johnny goes marching home again. Hurrah, hurrah. We'll give them a hearty welcome then. Hurrah, hurrah.
Speeches were given by Aaron Augenstein, the executive director of the Campus Martius Museum, Washington County Commissioner James Booth, and Marietta City Council President Susan Vessels. Aaron would like to thank everyone who helped make this happen.
Very grateful to the City of Marietta and the departments that helped us choose a spot for the tree, get it planted, and get the marker in place as well. We really appreciate all the work those guys do for us.
The Heritage Tree planted in Gold Star Park is part of the Heritage Tree program, which kicked off on April 25th. The program drew inspiration from the Liberty Tree in Boston during the Revolutionary War period. The program was created by America 250 Ohio, the official state commission that oversees the state's celebrations and commemorations for the country's birthday. The program's goal is to honor the dedication of our active duty and veteran military service personnel. Commissioner Booth believes it's important to honor those who have fought to protect our country, past and present.
It's very significant, and we should celebrate this for the men and women who have served so that this nation can be, it can thrive so well so that we can help other nations.
During his speech, Commissioner Booth mentioned the men and women who built the country and how thankful he is for their sacrifices. He believes the tree symbolizes the strength of the nation and how its people should work together even when the country feels divided.
And frankly, when my brothers and sisters in arms, that was never a discussion when you go to war or a conflict. We should all work together. There's good ideas on all sides.
Reporting from Marietta, I'm Logan Riggenbaugh for WTAP News. This is Home.